Good morning, everybody. I'm Susan Haugen with Scouts Talent. Thank you for coming to my webinar this morning. I'm going to wait just another minute or two and give people a chance to join, but we'll get going in just a minute. I assume everybody on the call is from Minnesota or sitting in Minnesota, where it appears to be 13 degrees, balmy 13 degrees. So that is that's a good thing. Sun is shining. Okay, well, it's 11:31, so we'll get started. Again, thank you for coming. Again, Susan Haugen, Scouts Talent. I am the Director of Recruiting and a partner here at Scouts Talent. And I am super passionate about consulting as a career path, as a good way for people to find the work-life balance that they've been looking for. And I think that we are seeing more consulting opportunities in the marketplace, just with changes that are going on and the way employers are responding to their employees. So I wanted to take this opportunity to answer some common questions about consulting and maybe open this opportunity up to some people who didn't really think it would work for them. My background briefly is accounting and finance, and about half of my accounting and finance career was spent in consulting, firm jobs for a while and then consulting. And I found it very good way to work. I found meaningful work. I found a good balance for where I was in my life at that time. And now that I'm on the staffing side of things, I want to, again, bring those opportunities to people who are curious about that. So we will just walk through some aspects of consulting here. There we go. So what I'm going to try to answer first is, why do some accountants and finance talent like consulting more than firm jobs? And I think one of the obvious ways that this occurs to people is that they're working too many hours at their perm job. And if they become a consultant, they see consultants around them at their job leaving at 5, they'll have a better work-life balance. And while this is absolutely true, I think you can get used to that. And I think a more global reason that consulting can be so satisfying is because you are hired to do what you do best. So say you are a finance person and you love analyzing data. You're happiest when you're pulling down big data sets, crunching through, making conclusions, reporting, sitting with your boss, helping make decisions that affect the future of the company. And say yesterday you had a big chunk of the day, you got a lot done, you really learned a lot, you were in the zone, and you came home feeling really satisfied. But say the day before that, you woke up and you looked at your calendar and it was all full of meetings that you really didn't feel impacted you. Maybe you had some administrative duties to do, an expense report or a performance evaluation, and you didn't get much of your day to move forward on what you consider your talent, bringing this analysis and decision support. With consulting, that really isn't a consideration. A client needs some analysis. They come to us and ask for that. We talk to you, hey, you're great at analysis. I'd like to plunk you in here and have you do what you love. And then when you get to the client, the obstacles really aren't there. You've got the tools, you've got the focus, your calendar's pretty empty, and there's a higher likelihood of days that you go home saying, oh, I really loved what I did today. I was really effective. It was fun. So that's a great reason that people enjoy consulting. Similarly, new challenges and continued learning. I always say a lot of the consultants that we work with were or are restless accountants and finance people, meaning they take a new job, they get up to speed quickly, they learn the software, they improve the processes, they link the spreadsheets, they get it all ready, and then they look around and say, well, that was super fun, but do I really have to do this same job now for another year and a half before I can post for my next role? With consulting, you go in on a 3 to 6 month assignment. That same thing happens. You get up the learning curve, you improve the processes, But then at the end, the project's finished, or you hand the work off to the permanent person, and you go on and do it again. You learn new industries, new softwares, you learn new tricks in Excel from the other finance people. This all expands your resume, makes you more marketable, more valuable, and really satisfies that part of you that craves lifelong learning. Another thing that consultants love is helping a client solve a problem, and in some cases, feeling like a superhero. We've all been in that perm job where there's just too much to do. You can't get it all done. It's a lot of pressure, right? And in some cases, then companies are hiring a consultant to come in and provide an expertise the company doesn't have, or provide an extra set of hands when there aren't enough people to do the work. So you come in, again, get up to speed quickly. You're just jamming on what you love to do. And the client is saying things to you like, oh my gosh, I don't know what we did before you got here. Or how did you do that? We've had so many people look at this sticky account rec and you solved it. Or something like, I'm so glad you're here. You've moved that ball forward in ways that I couldn't even imagine. Obviously, this feedback feels tremendous. And I think that often in a perm job, professionals aren't hearing that kind of feedback from their hiring manager or their boss. So consultants really do get a sense of really helping out and being valuable. Back to this point that we talked about, getting paid for the hours you work. Consultants really do tend to have a 40-hour work week. Now, there are ebbs and flows, and typically we'll know that at the beginning of an assignment. If it was an SEC role, there might be weeks where you work more than 40 hours, but every hour after 40 is paid at time and a half. And when you're staying past 5 o'clock, but you're making time and a half, it feels very different. The flip side of that is a permanent role. Say your salary is $150,000, and so you think of yourself as making $75 an hour. Well, that's if you work a 40-hour work week. If you work a 50-hour work week, that rate drops down to $60 an hour. And that just really doesn't feel the same. In consulting, you tend to have a shorter work week, and you get paid for every hour that you work, which again feels good. Flexibility. Flexibility is a big, I don't want to say post-pandemic, but as work has changed in the past couple of years, or as our outlooks have changed, people have started to look for, again, different work-life balance, different ways that work fits into their life. And flexibility can be flow through there in different ways. So one thing that's true is that consultants are typically evaluated on the work they do, or the problems they solve, the outcome, as opposed to being judged by the time their butt is in the seat. So how you solve that problem and complete your work really is kind of up to the consultant. Maybe you are better in the morning and you choose a 7 to 3 schedule. Maybe you want to avoid traffic and you're more of a 9 to 6 person. With the right amount of coordination and communication, you can work how it works best for you and get that flexibility. On a more macro level, flexibility might be summers off with your kids. I had 2 summers off with my kids. That never would have happened if I was on a career path as a firm employee. Or maybe flexibility means to you that you only want to accept remote jobs in the winter and work from Florida. That's possible with a consulting career. Many more options are available to you to fit into your life. Not getting involved in office politics is a reason that consultants often tell us they enjoy this lifestyle. We've all had to take on a project that wasn't interesting or wasn't our strength, but we knew that if we refused that project, it would impact our career progression at that company. Certainly, we've all kissed butts in companies. That is not a part of consulting. Again, you're hired to do a job. You get up to speed, you get the job done, and you move on. And that can be very satisfying. And finally, growing your network. I'm assuming that the people who are curious about consulting tend to be people who enjoy connections. Less likely you're the person in your cube doing your independent work, going home at 5. Growing your network, meeting like-minded people, it's very satisfying. At every engagement, you meet new people and you add them to your network. It would not be an exaggeration to say that people I met 17 years ago on my first consulting assignment are current clients of ours, are current consultants of ours, and are in my network in personal, professional ways. That's crazy, right? But you don't know you need your network until you do, and you're happy that it's there. And consulting is a great way to grow that. Let's move on to some frequently asked questions. How am I paid is a great question. The majority of our consultants are W-2 employees. We do also work with some 1099 consultants who have their own LLC, and they have their own LLC, and we can pay them that way. But the majority of our consultants fill out a timesheet at the end of the week, so they are paid again for every hour that they work. And we get a paycheck every 2 weeks with the taxes taken out, and a W-2 at the end of the year. So that's pretty straightforward. Let's see, just to move forward. How do I know what hourly rate to ask for? So of course, perm employees are paid a salary and consultants are paid hourly for every hour they work. So we need to work to convert that salary into an hourly rate. And an easy place to start, back to our $150,000 example, if we divide that salary by the hours in a year, we come up with $75 an hour for an idea of a starting hourly rate. It's best to have a range in mind. So maybe you would say my range is between 70 and 80. And the reason that's good is because different consulting engagements have different intangibles. Maybe a role that we're talking to you about really does have a hard stop at 70, but it's a company that you've always wanted to work for, and that's worth it. Or maybe we're talking to you about an assignment and it's a little bit further than you want to drive, but we can offer you $77.50, and you say, well, yeah, $5,000 extra dollars a year is worth it to commute those couple of days, that extra range. So in general, if we take your salary and divide it by the hours, that's a good range for us to start talking to you about assignments. How do I get benefits is probably the most common question that people in perm jobs who are considering consulting want to know about. And it's a great question. So the way that we solve that here at Scouts Talent, all the agencies have a different way that they approach this. What we do is a program that we call portable benefits. And we've created this because we think it's the best way for you to have the freedom and the flexibility to do the kind of work that you do best. So what we do is we sit down together and we add up the cost of your benefit package. So the PTO, or I'm sorry, the vacation, the holiday, if you need medical insurance, we add that up and then again, divide it by 2,080 hours. And that comes up with a premium that we're going to add onto your hourly rate. We're going to pay you every hour, and you're going to save that up and then purchase your insurance or pay yourself when you're on vacation and you don't get a paycheck. We have a calculator that helps us with that, but maybe that's $7 to $10 extra a month based on where you are on that $150,000 example. It's somewhere in there. So we can sit down and work that out together. And again, when you are in control of your own benefits, then you're not chained to a company who's telling you what to do. You are able to make your own choices about the engagements that you accept, the agencies that you work with. How long are consulting engagements? Obviously, they all vary. An average consulting engagement is about 6 months. Typically, they start out with a statement of work that is 3 months. That's so the client can kind of estimate what they think the work is going to be. And I hear consultants often say, oh, that's great, I can do anything for 3 months. But what happens is oftentimes that initial engagement gets extended. Maybe the company's having a hard time hiring your backfill, so they need you to keep doing the job longer. Or maybe you're so awesome that they've identified 3 other things you can help with and want to keep you on for another couple of months. So at the time that statement of work is coming to an end, you're deciding if you want to continue working. And again, average assignment is about 6 months. Can I work remotely? That's a great 2022 question. And to tell you the truth, I'm really interested to see. We know companies are starting to talk to their employees about coming back to work, maybe April 1st, which is not that far away. And I'm interested how the employees are going to respond to that, and hoping, honestly, that we kind of land somewhere in a hybrid world. The answer is yes, you can work remotely. We definitely have clients who are still remote. We definitely have engagements that lend themselves to remote work. Again, consultant is expected to get this done. And if that can be done remotely, as we've proven through this pandemic, then yes. What's more likely right now, and maybe a little more helpful, is this hybrid work. And how that might be is you might have to go a little bit more in the beginning to get trained, to meet the team, to forge relationships. And then beyond that, you're going to kind of see, oh, the entire team is in on Wednesdays. Well, I want to be there because I want to get my questions answered. I want to gel with the team. If you are open to hybrid work, we can talk to you honestly about opportunities all over the Twin Cities, right? If you're only commuting 2 or 3 days a week, your range of what you're comfortable driving is a little bit bigger. And if the goal is to give you more options to do the kind of work you like at companies that you like, then hybrid can be a great option at this point in time. How does it feel coming into a company as a consultant? There's a couple different answers to this. I'll start out by saying, we've been talking about all the pros of consulting, or at least in my estimation. And sometimes there is a little bit of a con coming in as a consultant. You may not feel quite as involved as an employee. You might not get invited to the baby shower, if companies still do that. You might feel a little bit like a lone wolf. Now, that's not to say that you're not gelling with your team, and that's not to say there might be other consultants there. And I've been on assignments where the consultants kind of form their own tribe. But this is something to consider as you think about consulting, coming in as a specialist to do what you do and then leaving. Do you bring your network with us? Do you maintain those relationships? It does feel a little bit different than being an employee. What happens at the end of my engagement? Do you place me again? And am I paid while I'm on the bench? I think this is probably the second biggest question that people wonder about consulting. What is that downtime or bench time between assignments? How is that going to impact me? How is that going to impact my annual earnings? So let's say you're on an engagement and your end date is March 31st. We will be reaching out to your employer about a month before that end date and talking with them. Do they need you longer? Is that truly your end date? So let's say that's your end date. At that point, our ending process or re-engagement process kicks in, and we'll meet with you and we'll talk about what you did and didn't like about your assignment and what you're looking for next time. We'll make sure to get your resume updated, and we'll brainstorm on some ideas from your network or our network. Where are some companies that you would like to work and who may have work? So we'll reach out proactively. And as job orders are coming in, we'll be talking to you about those too, and hopefully getting interviews set up and hopefully seamlessly placing you from one to the next. That happens all the time. If there is a gap in timing or the skill sets just aren't matching up and you are on the bench, you won't be paid by Scout's Talent during that time, but you are free to file for unemployment as long as you're still looking for work, right? Still working with us to find your next engagement. It's a good segue into this last point. There are so many agencies. Can I be active with more than one agency? And so I'll share a story from my background. I was consulting with one agency and they kept me busy. I was super happy. I had exactly the right amount of bench time Typically none, but sometimes I would say, hey, I want a week off. Consultants can do that with flexibility. And then one day, someone that I'd met at another agency called and said, hey, I have this dream engagement. Do you want to do it? And I said, yes, of course. And so I started working with another agency. And it just gave me more options. It gave me more people working to find work that I enjoyed. There's a couple of guidelines to do that with clear communication and some organization, but career consultants who want to stay busy typically do work with 2 or maybe 3 agencies that they feel that they have a partnership with, who their recruiter or the salesperson understands them, knows what's important to them, makes good matches, and listens to them when they're on the assignment and things come up. So it's perfectly acceptable to work with more than one agency, and in order to stay busy, it's sometimes a great idea. So that is everything that I had prepared to say. I think that we have a couple of questions, so let me see what we've got here. So, what is the market like right now? Oh, that's a great question. The market is crazy. We're all hearing the headlines about people changing jobs, about baby boomers retiring. There is really a lot of opportunity right now. I don't know the number for unemployment in accounting and finance in Minneapolis, but I think it's completely fair to say that there are many more open positions than there are people to fill them. And that is giving consultants and firm employees lots of choices. We're very busy and very excited to meet new consultants and can get them to work typically right away. Another question, what types of people do you place? This is a great question. Accounting and finance in the Twin Cities is our market. And the way I like to explain that is we serve anybody who works under the CFO. Kind of from senior financial analyst and senior accountant up through CFO, with a side smattering of project managers, audit, tax, and there's a lot of leeway in there. So, like I said, restless accountants, people who are self-directed, who are interested in their career and their work, those are the types of people that we place. Let's see, do consultants get hired permanently by their clients? This is a great question. My last consulting engagement was at Valspar, and I never thought that I wanted another perm job, but like the first week I walked in, I was so taken by the caliber of employees, the kind of small company feel of a big global company, and I really wanted to get hired there. I did 2 consulting engagements, and then a position that I was interested opened up, and I did get hired there. So that is a possibility. We are very supportive when a client and a consultant find a great fit and want to go forward together, although I secretly hope that when they've done their work there, they're going to come back to us as a consultant. Let's see, moving on. How can I send you my resume? Oh, that's my favorite question so far. My email address is susan@scoutstalent.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Susan Haugen, or you could go to our website, scoutstalent.com, and there is a link there to email me. I would love to see your resume. I would love to have a conversation, even if your resume is not ready. But I can be reached again. Just my phone number and my email are both on the website and on LinkedIn. What's a good next step if I'm interested? That is a fantastic question as well. I would love to have a conversation. I know that in this 25 minutes, I haven't answered all the questions, and people have a lot of different concerns. This is a weighty decision to make, how you're going to work, how you're going to be compensated, and it feels a little risky. So I would love to have a one-on-one conversation. Again, please call me directly. I almost always answer my phone. Email me at susan@scoutstalent.com. I would love to have a conversation, learn more about what you're looking for, talk to you about how likely it is that we can find work right away for you. It would be a great conversation and answer some more questions. Ooh, here's a good question. Thank you so much for this. Is part-time an option, 20 to 30 hours per week? And the answer is yes. That I love that question. We are seeing changes in the marketplace. I would say, kind of on a more global basis, that we are seeing more consultants being utilized. I think that companies are more aware that they can't just push more work on their existing employees, that sometimes it really makes the most sense to bring in a consultant and lift some of that load. So globally, we're seeing more, but we're also seeing different ways that consultants are used. And we are seeing more part-time or fractional work than we've ever seen. We've got retired CFOs who still want to keep a foot in the door, keep a toe in the water, and use their expertise to help companies. We see maybe people who have stayed home for a while and want to work while their kids are in school, get them on the bus and work for a while. Part-time or fractional is absolutely an option in 2022, and we're seeing quite a bit more opportunities for that. So I would love to talk further about that, Randy. Let's see, a couple more questions. How many job offers does a consultant typically get right now? So it is this unprecedented. I kind of have promised myself never to use that word, but this market is somewhat unprecedented. We have career consultants who are maybe interviewing and getting offers from 4 things at a time. It kind of depends on timing, and it depends on your skill set, of course, but it is a really quick market. Our clients are reacting quickly, getting interviews and getting offers done quickly. It doesn't feel like any other market. And what this means is that consultants have a choice and may be juggling as many as 2, 3, 4 job opportunities at a time. I have one more great tip that I wanted to share. Which is that at our website, scoutstalent.com, we do have some idea. Well, there's plenty of things on our website, testimonials from consultants who are enjoying it, testimonials from clients to some of the ways that consultants have helped their organization move forward. But in particular, if you are thinking about a change, it might be time to look at your resume. And we do have a resume starter kit on our website. If you navigate to consultants and pull down, there are a couple different tools there. It just gives you some ideas about how to get started on updating your resume, how to breathe a little life into it possibly, but really just how to think about telling your story in a way that's going to attract the kind of work that you want to do. Oh, there we go. There is a link right there in the Q&A. Everybody can try that out. And of course, I am absolutely a resource both on resumes and on interviews. So if we get into a conversation, I'm able to give you feedback, give you some ideas, etc. So unless any other questions come up, we are just about at the end of our time. If anybody wants to stay on and talk one-on-one, I have cleared my calendar to answer any more direct questions. We can unmute anybody who, let's see, we can give the ability for you to unmute yourself and we can talk directly, or like I said, please reach out, call me, email me. I would love to have a further conversation. I am very passionate about consulting, and I think that you will like it too. Okay, let's see. Do I have one more question? Oh, here we go. Do you see successful consulting careers at all levels, entry level through executive, or is there a sweet spot level for consulting? Let's see. I want to answer that question live. So hopefully you can still hear me answer this question. I would say that The work that we do at Scouts Talent, like I said, maybe our sweet spot is starting at senior accountant, senior financial analyst, up kind of through manager would be what I would say is a sweet spot. But that is not to say that we don't fill orders for staff accountants, for AP, AR. We do fill at all levels, and absolutely at the CFO level. So from entry level to the most senior level, we do, but in that senior accountant, in that, say, 7 to 10 years of experience and up through 20 years of experience, that's probably the most common demand for consultants in accounting and finance through Scouts Talent. So like I said, I'll just hang around for a little while in case anybody wants to unmute and talk. I'm really willing to answer any other questions that come up. Thank you so much for your time today. I love being able to share this, and I hope it's a good option for some people to follow up and take a different sort of control over their career.